Everybody. So I am talking today with Kristin Speakman, who is a friend. We go way back many, many years. And she's also a seven-figure salon owner and a beauty industry business coach and consultant. So we'll talk about what that means. And we're just here to talk about how she's blown her business up and what she's doing and how coaching and working with me one-on-one has supported her to grow her salons. She now is the owner of 2 salons, and she acquired a second location while we've been working together. And so, did I leave anything out? Is there anything else that you want to talk about or share?
I mean, you hit the big ones, and it all happened working with you. So
Yeah.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Big moves, hire Shannon. No.
And scene. Great.
We're done.
Yeah. Okay. So I would love to hear and just have you share a little bit with everybody. I mean, because we started working together years ago and you actually hired me for a custom program. Like we were on a consultation and I didn't even have the program. I just kind of like pulled it out of my ass and created this like social media package to help you talk about Bella Red and like position yourself online.
Yeah. And, on my end, being honest on the internet side, I had been following you for a while. So I have followed your journey. And then, 2020, the world shut down and you had left. You shared very much about your life and you were going out on your own, I think, that year. And so I had been watching you before I hired you.
That's always how it goes, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I hired you when our salon reopened and I wanted to get more visible online. And you were visible, you were modeling it, you were doing it. So I think I just reached out and was like, hey, I need some help. And you put together a custom package for me. I think it was 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, let's just work together for 6 weeks. What do you need to work on? And you helped me with being a business person online, really.
Yeah.
And being a pro.
And and just so that everybody knows too. So Kristin and I I used to be a hairstylist. We worked at the same salon, the top salon in Seattle many, many years ago, like 2009, 2010?
29. Yeah. 20.
Yeah. A long time ago, where we were folded foils. And I just want to say too, that this is the cool part about sharing your work with, because like some people are like, well, I used to do this and then I have a lot of people on my timeline who know me from my other life, and so like I don't want to share. And I mean, Kristin and I have known each other in a completely different industry and stayed connected, and then here we are working together, have developed this friendship, and then now I get my hair done in her salon in Federal Way because I can't find anybody in Italy.
And it looks great.
The way that I love it, the way that I want, right? And so like now this is just even more of a beautiful relationship. But had I changed my the settings of like, well, I don't want like the people from my old life to know about like my new business, like she would have missed out on what I'm doing, my journey, right? And so this is just also a great reminder of people are in our orbit because they like us as people, hopefully, and that they like, they're there because they want to watch our journey and are cheering us on. And who knows who's already in your orbit or who's already in your network from your previous life or previous jobs, right? Where they're going to hire you. And we've been working together for years. And we did a social media audit, and I went through the Facebook group and I did all this, and we really built that. And then you joined the mastermind.
And then I joined your mastermind in the fall. So that was the summer of 2020. And I had owned my salon and I had styled it. Like, we were busy back in the salon, and it was going great. And so I had some money that I wanted to use for like business development. And I was like, well, I've already been working with Shannon and she taught me all the things online. And like what I didn't know when I hired you, Shannon, for the social media was like the mindset tools that I was going to get. Like, okay, well, why don't you? It was all during like Black Lives Matter. And I was like wanting to speak up and share more. And I remember at that time I had a lot on my heart I wanted to share in a newsletter, and you really like supported me through and held me through, like looking at myself like, well, why don't you want to just put this out in the newsletter? So that was a big deal to me at the time. And I don't know if I even shared that with you since then, because this is 3 years later. And
Yeah.
like I put out this newsletter and you're like, well, okay, so what if people don't like what you have to say? And I'm like, well, then I lose them as a client. It's like, yeah, well, goodbye, peace.
And
So
then what?
you walked me
Yeah.
through that like very lovingly. And I think that was the first time I was like, oh shit, I'm in my own way here. And
Yeah.
I think I had one client that wrote me and said they're not coming back. And I'm like, cool. But like you
Yeah.
helped me through that. Like that was a big, I didn't realize the mindset piece that was so crucial to all of it. So that's why I joined the mastermind. I'm like, I need more, because where else am I in my way?
Totally.
And I think it was also you that was like, have you ever thought about coaching?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I was like, what? No one wants to hire me. What?
Yeah. Well, and what's
God,
cool
I can't
too,
believe,
like,
yeah.
well, and then like you went on to hire your own DEI coach for the salon. And so like this, like that became like integrated into your own work and into the, the work that you're doing in the salon. So that was really big for you as well. And just feeling more confident. This also goes to, there's like a piece here too of, I know that the mindset piece is huge, but a lot of people, when they're first starting this work or when they're first starting with me, they're just there for the strategy. You were just like, I just need to know what hashtags to use. And I just need to
I
know, like,
know.
what should I be doing on Instagram? And I was like, okay, yeah. Like,
Branding colors,
all the,
what?
like, I can teach you this. Like, so this is a great example of give them what they want, but then you also give them what they need. And what you needed also was, and what we've been working on for the last couple of years is leadership development, like you stepping into your own leadership, you inviting your team to step into their own leadership, delegating things, really shifting your mindset and elevating, which you already had a really rock solid mindset. I mean, you were already a salon owner at that
Yeah.
time, which took its own, like before we met, right? And then you just added on the journalism, which there was a
Less
lot
than
of
half the team, though,
resistance.
I would say. I had, yeah, I mean, at that time, I think I had 10 stylists. So that was 3 years ago, and we're at 2 locations with 26, a team of 26.
So
So
amazing.
it was a different business even at that time, right? Like one location coming, like we were just excited we survived COVID,
Yeah.
and came back. So
Yeah.
it
But
was kind
like
of like, well, we're back and doing well. So what next?
totally. And when I also, I want to speak to, like, I definitely saw as you were building your team, your leadership capabilities and how you were leading this team, which then obviously transfers into coaching, consulting, developing other industry leaders, right? And the way that you run your salon is like, I've never seen. And it really sets you apart from the rest. Like they provide health insurance. So for those of you who might not know, salons do not provide health insurance. That is just unheard of. You gave them what, a 2-week vacation last
Yeah.
year? Paid.
15 days off paid. Yeah. And we closed the business.
Unheard of. Unheard of.
Awesome.
And then the development that you provide, the education and all this stuff. And one reason that I love working with you is because you are this visionary and you are just so passionate about what you do and changing the industry and then teaching your own clients, which you just sold out your one-on-one.
I
So
did. Yeah. Thank you.
and you just launched your group program and we're already talking about another group program.
I know.
Well, right. But you are handy, like you're giving this information and changing the industry one salon at a time. And I mean, we have big vision. I have big visions for you. I
Yes,
know
we
you have
do.
big but so you're also, you know, working on speaking engagements and um like media stuff. So it's just been watching you just expand and grow into this has been really fucking cool to watch.
Thank you. Well, I mean, honestly, like it helps that like I haven't had to start over, you know, like I hired you for like a custom program and then I jumped into mastermind and then I renewed with mastermind.
Yeah.
Um and then I was like, I need her like in my
Oh,
business more. Like
yeah.
in my brain more, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
So when I hired you for one-on-one, that's where I was like really giving me more space and like knowing and trusting that I like had so much support right behind me because I had already been in your program. So I had
Right.
experienced like how you coach and you know, and you already got to know my business that way. It's like I didn't have to start over with anybody. So hiring for one-on-one was like, let's really get to work and make these
Yeah.
bigger things happen.
I'm happy you brought that up because that's such an important conversation. And one thing that I talk about that has changed my own business, like I've been with my own coach since 2019, and
Yeah,
you know, finding your person, and you signed on for the year with me, right? Just to lock in the
totally.
pricing. But then also, which that in and of itself is a boss move of, yeah, I'm going to sign on for a year. Then it allows you, as you're stepping it, like this is how we model for our clients, but like we're doing our own work. So I don't know if there was any work that you had to do to, you know, step into a 12-month commitment, or if you're like, no, fuck it, let's just do it.
I think a little bit of the, yeah, let's just do it because, um, I mean, there's still a little fear that creeps in, but it's like stepping into the fear rather than away from the fear because I had already saw the benefit of the accountability and the space and the trust and the guidance and I had already experienced that in group so I just knew the one-on-one was going to be like next level and you know we've not like do it afraid necessarily but like okay this is a little uncomfortable it's going to require me
Yeah.
to step up but like I
Mhm.
have these really big fucking visions that I want to do and I'm going to have to step up anyway so I might as well
Right.
start doing it here with
Right.
support.
Yeah. Yeah, and with one-on-one, you get me in Voxer too. So, and then we
Oh my
have
god, so good.
sessions a month, and we also met for a VIP day in
Yes,
Seattle,
that was awesome.
and we do intensives as part of the one-on-one. So, like
We'll do
quarterly,
that in June, right?
huh?
We're gonna do that in June, right?
Yes, yes. When I come to Seattle, we'll be doing the intensive in person. Um, but that's just a great point too of one thing that I noticed that really changed my business was just finding my person and sticking with her, and she knows, right? Like, and the same thing for you. Like I say, like, this is a pattern. Are you seeing this pattern? Because I'm seeing this pattern. And like we're friends, right? And so like
Yeah,
I can be like, girl, you're doing it again.
yeah,
Like don't do the
yeah.
thing that I know that you're going to do, which is, and this, so Kristen's also a mom of 2 boys,
Yes,
and
little ones.
her husband
Mhm.
is also an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And so they're running that, right? Like he runs that and you help, right? And so like you're the project manager of the family and you are running the salon. So one of the patterns is, right, like when you get some free time, it's like, what can I fill it up with?
What do I need to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Instead of like, how are you going to take care of yourself? Like not putting more things in, and you just hired, you know, a business manager for some
Yes.
contract work, right? And so like she's taking things off your plate. And so one
Uh,
of the that
yes.
she's a blessing, right?
Uh,
Uh, one of the things that I know that your pattern is now that you have free time, you're going to want to fill that up. And so I'm able to catch that as you are too, of like,
yeah.
hey, this is your thing that you do. Yes, having somebody in your business is why we hire team, right, at this level, so that we have more time to
Yeah.
develop programs, to do stuff like this. And also, do you just need to have a breather for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Can we just like get your nervous system just like calm down, and like, can you just like sit and enjoy this spaciousness for even just like a week, right? Like maybe a couple weeks is a little much to ask.
Yeah. I think I'm on a 2-week hanging out right now. I think
Okay,
that's what we agreed
perfect.
on. 2 weeks, like
Perfect.
a little break.
Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And so like, and we know too that that's when the ideas drop in. So when you have the spaciousness, that's when the
Yeah.
idea for the new group program comes
Yeah.
in.
I dropped into your Voxer like, hey, so Shannon, this is what I'm thinking for my next group program. By the way, I'm supposed to be on a pause. But like, and the other
Yeah.
thing is like we're human beings. So it's like I don't recognize that I'm in my brain, right? But you're the one from the outside being able to be like, oh, this is another pattern that she's slipping into. Like, let's call this out so we can stop it sooner than later, rather than we get stuck and it affects everything else in your business. Because
And then you get overwhelmed, and then you want to
failing.
then you want to stop the launch, and then you want to, right? And so like, I know that like this is right. And we tackle this together. And so if you were moving on to another coach, this would be a new, right? Like now there's a new learning curve, and now like there's a new strategy. And what I have seen work with myself and with my clients is it's not about, and especially, and you can attest to this too, right? Like the same strategy that you learned in anti-hustle business school. I mean, it was Business Unleashed back then, anti-hustle business school and Ignite and in the mastermind is the same shit that we're talking about in one-on-one. It's not like, great, now you've unlocked this new level and I'm going to spring this new strategy on you. It's wash, rinse, refine, repeat, wash, rinse, refine. So like, how do we start to make this easier so that you're not reinventing the wheel? So you've launched your one-on-one, and I want to talk about this too, because this was something, are you open to talking about like
I'm open.
okay.
Let's talk.
So the group program, you launched this group program. It's what, remind me the name of the program.
7-figure salon business.
Great. So she was targeting specifically, and I want to talk about this too, because this is something that I've done in my own business, and I see it now happening with clients, right? Is where we're launching one thing and you were like, oh, somebody completed one-on-one. I want a one-on-one client.
Yes,
but we're in the group launch. So you got to hold on to the group launch, and you were getting all kinds of squirrely, right? But here's the thing too, with your content, was that your group program was really speaking to the higher level, 7-figure, right? So you got 2 signups for the group, which you wanted
awesome
4
people too.
4 to
and
6.
They were awesome. I wanted 6.
Yeah. I mean, so there was disappointment. Like, yes, loved that there's 2 people, and like, you're allowed to have feelings about, I really wanted 6, right? Like,
exactly.
But I'm going to run it with 2, and I get to iron out the kinks, right? And then what, you hadn't even like wrapped up the launch for one day, or was it even, and somebody booked a call and
on my calendar on my website.
Out of the blue at your highest rate, which is what, $2,000 a month now. Yeah. And so you can say like, oh, like, so was the group launch a bust? Was that not successful? Because that's where our brain starts to go, right? It's like, oh, I wanted 6, but I only got 2, so it wasn't a successful launch. But then you made what, $12,000 in sales, right?
Yeah.
Pretty fucking successful.
Yeah. And I didn't really connect that until you did for me, that like, oh, and I think it was in a Voxer conversation.
Yeah.
Like you were like, oh, but remember, like you've been talking about this group at this higher level, like you're also still speaking to people that need you one-on-one. And I was like, so.
And there's people in your orbit and your audience who maybe it's not right now.
Right.
What the work that you did for this launch will pay off for the next launch, will pay off for the new program that you're creating.
Yeah.
Right. And so none of the launches are wasted. Like, even if nobody signed up, you still got content for the content bank. You stuck through the entire launch when you wanted to bail. I don't know how many times. Like, nope. Nope.
Yep.
We're riding this through 6 weeks.
We're doing this. Okay. We're still doing this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Right. But like, that's the beauty of having me and Boxer, where you can work that through, right? Instead of like being on your own and being like, oh, things aren't working. This feels hard. I'm just going to bail.
Exactly.
And before that happens, you message me and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I got you. We got this. We'll figure this out. Like,
and that's such like, it's so helpful. I need a stronger word than helpful. It's crucial, like for me to like keep going, to have you to do that. And, I want to also point out that one of the things that you say at the top of every program, and, in one-on-one, I've seen it in your content too. So I'm sure your people in your orbit see it too, is like, trust that this decision that you're making, this investment, is the best fucking decision you've ever made for yourself and your business.
mm-hmm.
And that is something I always come back to when things get hard. And it's like, no, it's not a trust Shannon that she's doing the right thing. It's trust in myself and trust that Shannon is giving me what I need to hear. And that always brings me back exactly to where I need, like, fuck yes, I'm on my way. This is all part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
really helpful to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like, that's just a huge part of growing and scaling. And as you've expanded your businesses and the locations, right? Like, your mindset has also expanded, where you're able to turn things around so much faster. Like, you're catching yourself, like, that the first thing that I'm going to ask you when you want to bail is, what's your mindset work look like?
And oftentimes it's, oh shit.
Right.
You're right. You're right.
Before we do anything else, and like get you back on track, and then what's coming up from that. And and just like having that reminder. And sometimes we're talking about the same shit over and over again until it finally lands.
Yeah.
But it lands in a different way, or you're like, I get it now. I fucking get it now.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would have made the 7-figure salon goal if I hadn't been in one of your programs. I think I was in a mastermind. It was the new year. So in the new year, everyone's talking about, oh, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to do $1 million this year. And our numbers were not on track to do $1 million. I think we were doing 50 something thousand a month.
Totally. And like, I mean, pretty ballsy, especially coming out of a pandemic.
Yeah. I think we did 625 the year before. And in January, it was a mastermind call where I think I had said, I want to do $1 million. And you were unnerved. Is that the right word? Like, unrattled by it. Like, you were just like, yeah, all right. And I was like,
done.
Gave me the green light. I got the green light. And so, and it was just, and then, I think, the hiring you for the one-on-one, was that the year I hired you for the one-on-one? Because I was like, oh, well, it's January.
Now I really need help.
February, we're not on track to do the $1 million, but I already said it. March, not on track. And I'm like, but it's still going to happen. I was doing all the mindset work around it. And then it happened like this. And by June I was already in one-on-one with you. And I had done 6 months of mindset work that by June, I was like, we're going to do $1 million. Like, it was already a done deal. So by December, when we did 1.1,
no big deal.
Oh my God. It was like, yay. And, it's not like, not
like freaking out.
I was fucking excited.
Totally.
I decided in June.
Totally. I'm so happy you brought that up, because that's a lot of the work that I'm doing with one-on-one clients, is like, let's get you regulated to that level. And this is, I talk about this. And so it doesn't even matter like where you are, even if you're going for your 5K month or 10K month or like $1 million year, right? It's like, what work do you have to be doing? And we did a lot of this. Who is seven-figure salon owner Kristin?
Yeah.
How is she showing up? What is she doing? Who is she hiring? What's she not doing anymore? You hired, you had an au pair, you had multiple au pairs at one time, right? Like you started to say no to things, and like that was huge. And so much of the work at these higher levels is learning how to manage all of it, how to hold all of it, how to dream bigger, and not just like lose your mind because you're panicked. Or so when you hit the 1.1, it was like, oh yeah, I'd already been dreaming about this and talking about this. So like, of course we hit this.
It was a plan. It was, in place. And I'm glad that you actually mentioned because this is the work now I do with my one-on-one clients, is the embodiment work. And it's so powerful. And the byproduct of it all, which I didn't really realize was one of the biggest parts of the transformation, is the personal growth and development. When you actually have to consider, like, what is that 7-figure person like? Like, what are their days like? What are they doing? How are they operating? And that's when I actually decided to quit drinking. And so that wasn't even like hey, Shannon, by the way, I think that like drinking is getting in the way of my life. It was the constantly waking up or going to my journal and like thinking like, what am I actually doing on a day-to-day basis that is operating like a 7-figure boss? And
not
like
being hungover.
She ain't hungover. She ain't hungover. Well, she ain't hungover anymore 15 months later.
I was saying, how long is it now? It's over, so 15 months.
Yeah. Oh, 16 months, 15 months.
I love that too. I mean, and it's not like you came to me.
No.
For that, but this is also the really fucking cool, and like why it's so important for us to share the different pieces of us. And right. And so like now you can talk about, and I know that you talk about your own sobriety, and like also in the hair industry and then the beauty industry, drug and alcohol use is rampant.
So normal.
And it's totally normalized. And my hunch, just like what's happened to me, is that people are attracted to me because they're sober curious, or they know that they can come to me for these things. And so like we've talked about this. It hasn't been the like big part of like our work, but you know that in me, you have a sober support person who, I'm at this event, and like, you Voxered me for things and stuff, and like, I'm there for you. And that's also now what you can provide your own clients too. If you're doing retreats or events like that, like have it be a non-drinking sober event to really model that for your own clients. And in the industry,
include those in my industry who otherwise it's not including them. So yeah. But I mean, I was in your mastermind and I drank. I mean, I was a heavy drinker, I would say, and it got to be coping. And honestly, when I gave it up, it had to do with like migraines and COVID. So initially, and then it was like, actually, this is in my way. But like you were never, it was never well, maybe if you quit drinking, like it was never that. You're like, oh, you celebration, what are you doing to celebrate? And I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go to a winery with friends. And great, that sounds like an awesome celebration. Like there was no, you knew and honored that was part of my life at the time. And
absolutely,
outwardly, and that's how we make change though, right? It's got to come from us. And it was helpful that I had you modeling what that looked like oh, maybe this part would be easier if I look at all the time that I have in my life now.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, if you want to talk about just like less anxiety, regulated nervous system, not being hungover, not, using substances to mask, all of that stuff. Like, and it really was in line with your goals and your vision. And who you were embodying and like what this next level you looked like. So yeah, it was really cool to
And I
support.
honestly don't think I would have been able to do the next level beyond the 7 figures without your support that I had had the whole time, and my sobriety too, because in October of 2022 is when I got the opportunity presented about opening another location. And I busted that timeline and moved it forward and was like, all right, by January 3rd, we were opening the doors.
Yeah.
And it was like game on. And
Yeah.
so
And you're just like, if you don't know Kristin, like follow her, tell your friends about her. Because she is seriously just a multi-passionate entrepreneur through and through. I've just like have so much respect for you and have learned from you too, of just like having this vision and fucking going for it. 'Cause it was like Voxer, like, oh, I'm thinking about opening another salon, this other space. And then it was like, yeah, we're making this happen. We're getting the money together. And I was like, amazing.
you're on the other side, like, keep it together, Shannon.
Totally.
You were totally
Yeah,
cool as a
so
cucumber.
absolutely. So follow her. How do people find you on Instagram?
Kristin Speakman Pro.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and this is just like a great example too of if you are a leader in your industry, you could turn it into a consulting or coaching business, right? Like, and that's what I saw in you was like, oh, you are already a leader. Like, have you considered doing this for other leaders? And then that's how it's come into this.
And now I coach full time. That's
Totally.
what
Yeah.
I do. That's
It's so good.
People are like, can I catch you in the salon? I'm like, not usually. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, so if
Yeah.
somebody was considering hiring me one-on-one and maybe they're on the fence, what's something that you would want to share with them?
Mm. Trust yourself and hire Shannon. I mean, especially if you're somebody who's been following her for a long time or you've been in her program, you've already gotten a taste of what it's like. And she is honestly, Shannon, like, I mean, I'm here to share about my experience, but like there were days and times that I didn't know, like, does she even like me? I don't know, because you held me so well in program life. There is just so no judgment and only encouragement. So it's like I really have appreciated the constant, like, and sometimes I learn later the things that maybe were going on in your life, that whatever you share,
Mm,
and I'm like, I had no idea about that because you're such an amazing coach. And I have hired coaches before. I think you were my 4th coach that I hired, and hands down the best coach. So if you're on the fence, send the message, just get on a call, like talk to her. Like, that's what I say. Just if you're curious, it's on your heart, just start the conversation and then trust yourself from there.
yeah. Awesome.
Step into that next level.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been so fun talking to you. And yeah, follow Kristin in all the places. If you are in the beauty industry and you want some business coaching, this is definitely the person to be hiring because she knows the industry in and out and she's just a rock star. Cool.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Well, I will see you on our call soon.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.